Keanu Reeves enters a luxurious restaurant in the heart of the city, dressed in casual clothes that look more suitable for a stroll through the local park than for fine dining. The glow from ornate chandeliers reflects on polished floors and gilded walls, giving the entire establishment a regal aura. Expensive perfumes mingle with the aroma of gourmet dishes, forming an ambiance that screams exclusivity. He chooses a small table in a discreet corner, hoping to go unnoticed among the well-heeled patrons. Most people visiting Le Magnifique, famous for its internationally acclaimed chef and sumptuous decor, arrive in sleek cars dressed to impress. Tonight, however, Keanu just walks in quietly, wearing jeans and a simple shirt. He scans the menu with genuine curiosity, paying special attention to details of each dish. Before Keanu can fully settle in, a waiter named Dominic strides over. Tall and impeccably dressed in the restaurant's signature uniform, Dominic's eyes flicker over Keanu's casual attire, lingering on the faded denim. His lips pressed together in a subtle sign of disapproval. This is a restaurant where the wealthy and celebrities come to see and be seen, yet Dominic assumes that anyone dressed like Keanu can't possibly belong here. Leaning in slightly, Dominic adopts a condescending tone. "Are you sure you'd like to dine here this evening, sir?" The question drips with insinuation that Keanu might not be able to afford the lofty prices. Keanu, unflustered, offers a polite smile. "Yes, I'm sure," he responds, voice measured and courteous. He avoids meeting the waiter's icy gaze for too long, returning his attention to the menu instead. Dominic arches an eyebrow. "We have a strict reservation policy, you know," he continues, tapping a sleek tablet that lists the night's bookings. "Let me just verify your name." He peers at the screen for a dramatic moment, then feigns surprise. It appears you don't have a reservation on file. We're quite busy tonight, so I'm not sure if we have room." A hush falls over the nearby tables as a few people crane their necks to observe. Keanu keeps his calm, and the corners of his mouth lift slightly, as though amused by Dominic's haughty posture. "That's fine," Keanu answers softly. "I'm willing to wait if necessary." Dominic's shoulders stiffen. He didn't expect such politeness. He was hoping for a show of flustered discomfort. "There might be a table," he concedes with a flourish of the hand, "but it won't be in the main dining area. We typically reserve the prime tables for guests who've booked weeks in advance." Without waiting for Keanu's reply, Dominic pivots on his heel and starts walking toward a small, dimly lit alcove near the kitchen doors. The clatter of pots and pans, coupled with the occasional shout from a line cook, seeps into this less desirable corner of the restaurant. Keanu follows quietly. "Here you are," Dominic announces, stopping at a table that's noticeably less glamorous than the others. The traffic of waitstaff delivering plates almost brushes against the chair. "I hope this meets your expectations," Dominic adds with a thin smile. "Thank you," Keanu replies, gracious as ever. He takes a seat, carefully folding his napkin into his lap. Dominic hovers for a moment, assessing his new customer with a condescending glance. "Our specials are on the front page," he says, half turning to leave. "Just be aware, the chef's creations here can run quite expensive. If you need a recommendation for something more modest, don't hesitate to ask." Keanu simply nods, refusing to take the bait. Dominic's lips twitch with frustration. Clearly, he was hoping for an embarrassed reaction. Satisfied that he's exerted his authority for the moment, Dominic moves off to greet a table of VIPs. Several diners, having witnessed the exchange, share curious looks. Some appear sympathetic toward Keanu, while others seem amused, as though Dominic's rudeness were an extension of the evening's entertainment. Little does Dominic realize that the man he just dismissed so arrogantly is no ordinary patron, and that Le Magnifique is not as far out of reach for Keanu as it may seem. Before we continue this story, let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow at 12:30 p.m., we have another special story for you. Keanu opens the menu, unhurried and unbothered. Across the room, Dominic can't resist casting a smug glance back. He's certain that the casually dressed guest will be put off by the high prices and leave before finishing his meal. But the night is young, and everything is about to change in ways Dominic and everyone else least expects. The soft hum of conversation, the melodic tunes of a live pianist, and the gentle clinks of cutlery against fine china fill Le Magnifique with a polished but vibrant energy. Keanu studies the menu, his expression serene, as though the earlier hostility from Dominic never happened. Yet beneath that calm exterior lies the knowledge that this evening may reveal more about the restaurant and its staff than anyone anticipates. A few moments later, Dominic returns with a theatrical flourish, a notepad in hand. He leans in, ready to take the order. "Have you decided?" he asks, eyes darting disapprovingly to Keanu's casual shirt. Keanu politely indicates one of the most expensive dishes on the menu, a signature steak that costs nearly $300. Dominic's eyebrows shoot up. "The Wagyu truffle special," he repeats, making sure nearby diners can hear the extravagant choice. "That's quite premium. Are you sure?" "Yes," Keanu replies simply. Dominic waits, pen hovering, hoping for a moment of discomfort. When none comes, the waiter jots it down with a forced smile. "Very well," he says through gritted teeth. "And would you like an appetizer? A soup or salad, perhaps?" Keanu nods. "Yes, the lobster bisque." "Thank you. Excellent choice," Dominic says, though his tone remains cool. As he walks away, he can't resist muttering under his breath to a fellow waiter. He must be trying to impress someone. Watch him panic when he sees the bill. His co-worker, uneasy with Dominic's attitude, merely shrugs. "Maybe he's just hungry for good food," she whispers, before focusing on her own tables. While Keanu waits, he notices a nearby couple observing him with curiosity. The older gentleman lifts his glass of wine and offers a subtle nod in Keanu's direction, a silent show of solidarity. Keanu responds with a soft smile, silently thanking him for the kindness. Meanwhile, Dominic circles the restaurant like a hawk, taking orders from impeccably dressed patrons in designer suits and shimmering evening gowns. Every so often, he shoots a smirk toward Keanu's table. It's clear Dominic believes that Keanu is out of his depth, about to make a fool of himself in front of the wealthy guests. When the lobster bisque arrives, Dominic sets the bowl down with a little too much force, causing some soup to slosh near the edge of the plate. "Your soup," he says flatly. "Hope you appreciate the complex flavors. Chef Pierre's recipe is refined, to say the least." "Thank you," Keanu replies, ever polite, wiping up the small spill himself with a napkin. He takes a sip, nodding with genuine approval. "It's wonderful." Dominic almost rolls his eyes, frustrated that the man refuses to take offense or show any hint of discomfort. Hoping to expedite what he assumes will be a humiliating departure, Dominic decides to ignore Keanu's table for a while, prioritizing other customers he deems more worthy of attention. Time passes, and Keanu sits quietly, waiting for his main course. Across the room, the older couple from before exchange concerned glances, noticing that Dominic repeatedly passes by without a second glance at Keanu's empty soup bowl. Another waitress, feeling uneasy about Dominic's lack of professionalism, steps in and discreetly checks on Keanu. But Dominic, catching sight of this, quickly waves her off with a scowl, whispering, "He's my table. I'll handle it." Yet he doesn't handle it, not promptly anyway. Instead, Dominic lingers at a large party of well-dressed patrons, laughing and chatting, offering wine recommendations. The clock keeps ticking. Keanu sips a glass of water, content to let time unfold. Finally, Dominic presents Keanu's entree, Wagyu steak with truffle sauce, nearly 20 minutes after it's been prepared, letting it sit under the warming lamp while he attended to other tasks. He drops the plate on the table with minimal grace. "I hope it's still warm," he says, sarcasm lacing every word. "Enjoy." Keanu takes in the dish, noticing that the edges of the steak appear slightly dry from waiting too long. He slices into it anyway, giving it a taste. His expression remains pleasant, though it's clear the dish has suffered from Dominic's delay. A few diners cast sympathetic looks. Some seem poised to confront Dominic themselves, while the older gentleman from earlier observes with a frown. The tension in the dining room is palpable. It's becoming impossible to ignore the waiter's disrespectful treatment of this seemingly unassuming man. As he finishes what remains of the meal, Keanu signals for coffee. Dominic arrives with the cup, practically slamming the saucer on the table. "One Americano," he announces in a dismissive tone. Then, raising his voice so others can hear, he sneers. "We do hope you're comfortable. This is quite an exclusive place. We wouldn't want you to feel overwhelmed by the formality." Nearby patrons pause their conversations, offended on Keanu's behalf. But Keanu simply smiles and lifts the coffee cup to his lips, unbothered by Dominic's blatant rudeness. He thanks the waiter with unwavering politeness. Dominic, incensed by the lack of reaction, strides back to the main floor. He shares snide remarks with another staff member who tries unsuccessfully to hush him. It's a scene that can't go unnoticed much longer. Many diners already suspect that something significant is brewing, and they are right. Because while Dominic sees only an underdressed outsider, the reality is that Keanu Reeves is far more connected to Le Magnifique than anyone realizes. With dinner completed, Keanu sets his fork down gently. The live pianist transitions into a soulful nocturne, and the clinking of crystal glasses lingers as soft background music to the tension now seizing the air. It's almost time for the bill, and Dominic edges closer to the table, certain that he'll witness shock and embarrassment when Keanu sees the total. Dominic glances around, verifying that he has an audience. Several diners have been following the drama, side-eyeing the unfolding exchange. The older couple in the corner put down their forks, anticipating a confrontation. The hush that falls across nearby tables is subtle but unmistakable. At last, Dominic arrives with a silver tray carrying the check. He places it face down in front of Keanu with a smug flourish. "Your bill, sir," he says, stressing the final word as if implying that Keanu is no true gentleman. "Thank you," Keanu replies calmly. He lifts the small leather folder and scans the numbers. The total is indeed steep thanks to the high-end entree, appetizer, and the restaurant's premium status. Yet Keanu doesn't flinch. Instead, he reaches for his wallet, producing a sleek black credit card that causes a fleeting frown to crease Dominic's brow. Dominic picks up the card and heads toward the register. He's too caught up in his annoyance to notice the card's embossed name. Once the transaction is approved, effortlessly, he marches back, about to hand Keanu the receipt when he's intercepted by the restaurant manager, Mr. Alden. A tall, imposing figure with impeccable posture, Mr. Alden has been quietly observing from a distance. There's a hint of urgency in his voice as he hisses, "Dominic, what are you doing?" "Just handling the bill for table 7, Dominic replies, baffled by his manager's sudden agitation. Mr. Alden snatches the receipt from Dominic's hand. His eyes widen at the signature on the slip. "Keanu Reeves?" he blurts, color draining from his face. Dominic blinks. "Yes, that's the name he gave, though I doubt." But Mr. Alden doesn't wait for Dominic to finish. He briskly turns on his heel and approaches Keanu's table. Dominic trails behind, confusion etched across his features. By now, a hush has enveloped the surrounding diners, who watch the scene unfold like a live drama. "Mr. Reeves," Mr. Alden says quietly yet respectfully, inclining his head. "I had no idea you were visiting us tonight. It's an honor to have you here, sir. Please forgive any oversight. If there's anything you need, anything at all, let us know." His posture screams deference, and he seems genuinely eager to make amends. Dominic's jaw drops. He glances between Mr. Alden and Keanu, struggling to grasp what's happening. "Wait, Mr. Alden, is he?" Keanu stands, offering a polite nod to the manager. "Thank you, Mr. Alden, but there's no need to apologize." His voice carries a calm authority that instantly hushes any further questions from the staff. Then he levels his gaze on Dominic, not with anger, but with composed sincerity. At last, Mr. Alden sighs. "Dominic, let me make something clear. Mr. Reeves is, how do I say this, directly involved in the future of Le Magnifique." He stops short of announcing that Keanu is, in fact, soon to be a principal owner. But the implication is enough to strike Dominic like a bolt of lightning. Dominic pales, his haughty demeanor vanishing in an instant. I didn't know," he stammers, eyes fixed on Keanu's friendly but resolute expression. Keanu steps forward, his gaze calm yet piercing. "There's no need to make a scene. People make mistakes," he says softly but firmly. A hush blankets the tables nearby. However, respect should never depend on what someone wears or how wealthy they appear. Everyone who walks through these doors deserves courtesy. Dominic's face flushes a deep crimson. He glances at the ground, shame pooling in his eyes as the weight of his actions becomes undeniable. The older couple in the corner exchange satisfied nods, as though this confrontation was inevitable and necessary. Other patrons follow the exchange with rapt attention, some leaning in to catch every word, others shaking their heads at Dominic's earlier conduct. Turning to Mr. Alden, Keanu clears his throat. I'd appreciate a moment with your team if that's possible. Sometime before closing. The manager nods vigorously, gesturing an apology. Yes, of course, Mr. Reeves. Anything you need. Dominic opens his mouth, but words fail him. He can't decide whether to apologize more profusely or to remain silent. Before he can act, Keanu looks at him. Dominic, I'm not here to punish you, but I hope you'll reflect on your approach to customers. It wasn't just me you disrespected tonight. At those words, Dominic glances around, realizing that nearly every table has been discreetly watching. Some faces show condemnation, others relief that justice is finally being served. Feeling utterly exposed, Dominic bows his head. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, he manages, voice trembling. With that, Keanu slides his arms into his jacket. The tension in the restaurant dissipates slightly, replaced by a tangible wave of curiosity. The man who was dismissed as a nobody might actually hold the future of Le Magnifique in his hands. I'll be back shortly, Keanu says to Mr. Alden, giving Dominic a polite nod. And after tonight, we have much to discuss about how to ensure every guest, no matter how they appear, feels welcome here. Word spreads like wildfire among the remaining diners. Keanu Reeves not only dined here, but also has an important role in the restaurant's ownership. Whispers of shock and excitement ripple across the tables, overshadowing the refined piano music. By the time Keanu steps into the cool night air, practically every patron knows that Dominic's arrogance nearly caused a disaster. The story is far from over, however. Keanu has plans for Le Magnifique, plans that could transform it from a place of exclusivity into a beacon of hospitality. And Dominic, now humbled, must face the consequences of his actions in a staff meeting that promises to be unforgettable. Will he learn from his mistakes, or will his pride get in the way of personal growth? Stay tuned for the next part of this story. Sometimes the biggest lessons come from the smallest gestures, and a single act of kindness or cruelty can change everything in a heartbeat.